All right. We're live. Let me get my lighting adjusted. We're live from the shop. Vintage Classic Solutions. I'm your host, EJ Parker. Thanks for joining us tonight. Or joining me tonight. We're going to have an eclectic antique look through. There's a bunch of items around me that are very eclectic. They're mostly antique, some are vintage. Let me get this light just right. And it's going to be a mix. Let me get this right. This is not, let me just move this around here. A mix of epic proportions. So, I love bottles. Let's start with some bottles. How about that? Let's start with these two. Check these out. Look at these bottles, these flasks. So these are quite old, and these are from a very historic collection. These are called nail-sea glass. Look at that. This is like I want to say it's more of a purple than a brown, but it has that awesome swirl, and collectors love the swirl. And this one's gorgeous. It's got that white, and look at this pattern. Man, that's awesome. So these are old. These are from around 1850 or so. Nail-sea glass is quite interesting. It's from a town called Nailsea in England, a glass making town. And from what I've read about these were made by the artisans reusing scraps of broken glass to make these glass articles. And you can see there's honest wear. I don't want to drop these things. Honest wear. These date from around, again, 1850 or so, maybe even a little earlier. There's a pontil, part of the production process. They can be quite jagged at the base here, but that's the way it was. Yeah, these are cool. These are, again, from around 1850 or so. Now, these came from a historic baby bottle collection. About 2 or 3 years ago, I went to a garage sale with my kids, and we stumbled upon one of the most complete and historic baby bottle collections in North America. And I bought it. I bought the whole thing. There's boxes over here that are just full of antique baby bottles dating from around 1680 through 1990. And these were in there. So let me explain to you how these gorgeous bottles or flasks were made. Now, could these have been baby bottles? Well, yeah. Or could they have been a flask? I mean, yeah, these were, utilitarian, but quite beautiful. Now, the way these were made was the artisan would get a glob of molten glass, and in this case, it was clear, right? And then they would take another strand of a different color glass, in this case white, and wrap it around while molten around that ball of clear glass. And then they would, I guess, blow on the blowpipe, and it would expand. And then they had a tool like a metal rake where they could rake the design. And you can just see how cool it looks. It shows honest wear. If these were, this one's awesome too. Look at that swirl. Man, look at that. It looks more of a purple than a brown. It's a unique color. This is kind of sharp. That's the way it's supposed to be. These were not meant to sit upright. So if these were a baby bottle, well, what's the nipple? That's the question people always ask. What do they use for a nipple, EJ, in 1850 or 1830? So they would use things like a pickled cow's teat, or they would use rolled up cloth, or they would use leather, right? and wrap a thread around it before rubber became the thing. So was this? I mean, it's impossible to tell really. Were these flasks for alcohols for drunkards in the pocket, or was this a baby bottle flask? We don't know unless you forensically test the insides of these things for residue. I'm not sure. But again, these came from an historic baby bottle collection, so these could have been baby bottles. But these are gorgeous. So these were made by artisans. Now, Nailsea is a town in London that is a glass blowing, like a community of glass making artisans. And but then Nailsea became a style, like a stylistic kind of thing like this. But again, it was just recycled scraps of glass of different colors, done so well. And what are these worth? Um, Now these prices are really old. $135, the catalog number and the prices there. These are from like the 90s. Um, is it worth 135 bucks? I don't know. The 90s, this is a whole other story, but the 90s before eBay, prices were higher. Prices for collectibles, pretty much for toys and porcelain and all that stuff, were usually higher before eBay. Once eBay came along, prices came down. And the reason why is because eBay let everyone know actually how rare their items were. And in a lot of cases, items weren't as rare as people thought. So the prices came down on almost everything. So that's why when you like discover like old collectible books from like 1991, the prices are super high. And then you look on eBay, the prices are lower because people realize, oh, these cast iron banks aren't that rare, or oh, these Nailsea bottles aren't maybe that rare as we thought, but they are beautiful. I don't know what else to say about these. You can find these on eBay right now. These are not for sale. These are actually on loan to me for this live stream. So I'm gonna put these back before I break them. Let me just put these away here, and then we'll move along to another bottle that's noteworthy, and that is this. And again, thanks for joining. My name is EJ Parker. I'm the host here at Vintage Classic Solutions, my vintage and antique store. We're looking at an eclectic antique collection. Now, this is a baby bottle that's got a gorgeous ice blue hue to it. If you can see that ice blue, man, collectors love the ice blue color, and you can see why. It's just so relaxing to the eye. This has a embossed top, if you can kind of see that right there. And it's embossed on this side, tip top feeding bottle. This is a antique baby bottle. Check that out. It's got a seam and it's got bubbles, like maker imperfections that help us date this. That's not a real Ponto mark. I think this one is from around, I'd say 1880 or so. The nipple would go on here, and it's got a few chips and a few cracks. But this is a gorgeous bottle. I love the bubbles. If you can see these bubbles trapped in time. See that? I love when antique bottles have like bubbles trapped in there. A really interesting side note on these. These are called murder bottles. If you go on eBay, you can type in murder bottles. It's a niche. It's a genre of collectible. And this is it. This is I wouldn't call it this is okay, so they're called murder bottles because they were hard to clean. So parents would put milk in here, give it to the infant, and this is like Victorian era. I always say it's a goddamn miracle human beings made it through the Victorian era. Why? Well, we started to dabble in science and like chemicals. We didn't quite understand what was dangerous or not. So like wallpaper had like uranium, and we didn't understand hygiene fully. So what happened was parents wouldn't fully clean these things after feeding the infant, and bacteria would grow, and they would refill it with milk the next day and give it to the kid, and the kid would get really sick. In a lot of cases, they would die. This is a more simple one, but other murder bottles from this era, the Victorian era, late 1800s, have more inside, like there's more curvatures, there's more crevices, and you can just see that they were impossible to clean. So kids were dying because parents weren't cleaning these bottles properly because they were just too damn hard to clean. Until they realized in like the maybe like 1910, around that time, these feeding bottles were more like a tube, and that continues to this day because they realize, oh, they're much easier to clean when it's a big long tube as opposed to these weird shaped bottles. And another side note is there's all these quack doctors in the Victorian era. And there was these news articles, like a famous doctor of the day saying that, oh, you only need to clean your baby bottle like once every 3 or 4 weeks. It's just like, oh my God, it's amazing human beings survived. Um, this bottle got tons of character. You can just see how it's just asymmetrical. I love that when bottles have, I mean, you can see the shoulder, it's off kilter. I love it. It just has so much personality, and that ice blue, it looks like a piece of ice. I love this. Again, this is like late 1800s. This has a price tag of 35 bucks. It's probably worth more than that, I'd say. Even though it's got a few chips, it could be worth, I don't know, 50 bucks. This is not for sale.